Good afternoon. Again, future leaders of tomorrow. I want to welcome you to our P3 professional pop-up panel career conversation. We're going to spend a great 40 minutes just getting to know more about the field of aviation, engineering, and we're just going to hear from the experts, which is really exciting. And so I just want you to sit back, relax, get to learn all of this great information. And when you have questions, please utilize your chat feature. So let's get started. All right. And today, the guest of honor is the company GE Aviation. And so that's the company that we will highlight today. And I will introduce to you the panelists. Oh, but before I do that, let's do a little housekeeping. Just make sure that you stay muted and that your screen remains black. Please utilize your chat features for questions, anything that you want our panelists to know. Just make sure you utilize that feature. I'm going to let Jose in right now. And that will help things go along smoothly. And also, if you want additional information, make sure that you put your email address within the chat so we can make sure that we send that information to you. And now for our panelists, we would like to start. I'm trying to make sure, yep, Jose is here. And I'll change his name once we get going. We have Kia Rodriguez Roman. She is an employee of GE Aviation. Kia, I just want to give you an opportunity just to introduce yourself, what it is you do, how long you've been there, and share something really interesting about you.
Yeah, definitely. My name is Kia Rodriguez Roman. I was born in Puerto Rico, grew up in Miami. My family on my mom's side are all military, so GE aviation industry was kind of in my legacy in some way. I got a degree in computer and electrical engineering from FIU in Miami, and I got hired in GE Aviation 4 years ago. Went through the Edison program, and now currently I am a simulation and tool software engineer at GE Aviation, located here in the Tampa Bay area. Um, and something interesting about me, I'll give two things. I like to make homemade pasta a lot. So I do it about once a month. And I used to play the drums when I was younger. So I used to play drums in church a lot.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. I love to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Definitely.
And now I would like to introduce Jose Velazquez Horado.
Thank you. I'm actually originally from Venezuela, and I moved to the States in 2011 to pursue my master's in electrical and computer engineering. I have been with GE Aviation for 2 years now, and I work there as a product engineer supporting our data recorder products. I'm sure that we have many of you have heard about the black box, which they are actually not black but orange. That's the kind of product that I support. I support the manufacturing and the aftermarket teams, and I'm the liaison between them and our design engineering team. Um, Something of interest. When I was growing up, I played chess in tournaments, and it's kind of one of my favorite hobbies. I still do it online through chess.com, but I don't get too much time to play face to face, but I do it online.
All right, perfect. And now we will introduce Humberto Tel, I'm going to mess that up, but I'm going to work on it. Telio Morales.
That was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this meeting. My name, Humberto Tello. I was born and raised in Ecuador. I came to US because my wife is from here and she wanted to live here, and I said like, okay, let's do that. Families first. I am a test engineer with GE. I've been working within the company for 3 years. A fact, I am an electrical engineer. I graduated from college down in my country. A fact for me, I was not the best of my class. I really uh, did a lot of mistakes, but I made it through. I used to destroy my toys. I would say that I would just open the toys to see how they work. But other than that, yeah, I'm working here and I test the cool stuff that you guys have in airplanes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for just taking the time to, again, be here and just share your wealth of knowledge. And so we're going to just dive in. So our panelists today, they sent us a quick, when they sent us some commercial videos. So I'm going to put those within the chat. So later when you have an opportunity, you guys can kind of look through those videos, because I guess us starting late kind of delayed us a little bit. So I'm just going to send those videos via the chat. And whenever you get an opportunity, just check those commercials out, because you can actually see some of the work that they do. And so now our first question, we're going to start off with Jose. And my question for you today is, when you were 16 or 17, did you think that you would be doing, or you would be in this particular career field? And make sure you unmute yourself, Jose.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the short answer to that will be no. I actually didn't know at that time that I wanted to be within the aviation industry. I had a passion for airplanes for sure. I played a lot with the flight simulator when I was growing up, and it was something that I enjoyed it doing. So I could see myself doing it, but there wasn't an industry like per se in my home country to do that. So long story short, I moved to the States, and I end up living here in Grand Rapids, which we have a great aviation facility right by the airport. And that's when the opportunity came through. But yeah, back when I was 16, 17, I only knew that I wanted to become an engineer because of my dad. He's a mechanical engineer. And since I had a like Beto mentioned, like Humberto mentioned, like I also had a passion for like destroying toys and trying to figure out how they work. So um, I think computers and electronics has always been my thing, and that's what drove me to pursue an electrical engineering degree.
Perfect. What about you, Kia? When you were 16 or 17, did you think that you would be in this career field?
Um, I did think I'd be an engineer. I just didn't know what type. So I always loved algebra 2. It was my favorite thing to do. In high school, I was actually more graphic design. I can't draw for anything, but I was really good at Photoshop. So that was kind of the route I wanted to take. I did want to do animation, but then again, I couldn't draw. So I kind of went more towards computers, how computers work, maybe like website design more in high school. And then so it was kind of like I built my career up more like middle school, high school, where the opportunity showed, like in clubs after school and things like that, and activities, where I started seeing the areas I liked more. So I wasn't good at drawing, but I was good at understanding like the coding stuff and how things work together in that way. So once it was time to decide what college or major to choose, that's where I was like, oh, computer engineering sounds kind of fun. I mean, I'll go that route, and here I am.
I love it. And last but certainly not least, Umberto, what about you? When you were 16 or 17, I know that you love to like tear things apart with toys, but when you were 16, 17, did you think that you will be doing this?
No, actually, to be honest, I was considering to go into the lawyers field. My family is full of lawyers. That we have several of them in my family, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'm going to do that. But I got one person. I remember this in high school. That person, he did not like me, and he said like, I don't think you will do good at math. And I was like, I took that as a challenge. I was like, well, I'll do it then. So I got out of that. I didn't know what I was going to do, but at 16, I just said like, I'm just going to do something with math. I'm not good at this, but I'll learn something. And I ended getting into engineering just because I found that fascinating. When I moved to the math class, I thought it was cool. So I ended in engineering just following that path.
Perfect. And I will start this question off with Umberto.
Okay.
What skills in education, what skills in education are required for your current position?
Well, you certainly have to know some electronics for sure, how they work, the basics. You have to know some coding, but I think the biggest thing is you have to be curious. You have to have a curious mind. Uh, as I can tell you, when I was just starting college, I started just trying some cool stuff that I found in different platforms on internet, Arduino, Raspberry Pi. When they just got out, I was just like, I don't know what they are, but I want to try them. And I did that, and I think that was one of the biggest things when I got my interview. They asked me like, "What have you done?" And I just showed them like, "I've been doing this," and they just told me that. I literally was told, "Oh, you have a very curious mind." And I was like, "Yeah, I like to learn the stuff, how it works, and how to solve the problem." So, uh, electrical engineering, you will learn a lot, math, and all of those things. But I think the biggest thing is how good at you are with your mind. Mhm.
Perfect. What about you, Kia? What skills or education is required for your particular position?
Yeah, definitely. We do a lot of simulation, so it's a lot of coding, specifically like C Sharp, C, Java, things like that. Even if you don't know those languages, if you have a good understanding how code works and algorithms and things like that, that's pretty important. And kind of along with what Umberto said, like have a curious mind, be able to want to fail. So some of those softer skills are also important. Being able to communicate your failures and like build up from that, that's like a big thing, especially just in the organization as a whole, because that's how we make our products even better. And that's what helps with innovation. But for my position, it's mostly a coding background. Maybe if you know like some front end stuff, that would help too.
Fantastic. And what about you, Jose?
I think for my position, I think I will say that soft skills and leadership skills are key or fundamentals. I mean, I'm the sometimes I feel like I'm the backup just because I'm behind other people to make them get the job done. And you have to have certain ability to like bring the team to a meeting and then drive the team to the objective, without throwing anybody out of the bus. And sometimes it's challenging, especially in our work environment. Like uh, we have procedures that we have to follow, so we cannot really take shortcuts. But yeah, ultimately, like learning how to communicate with other people without hurting their feelings, building trust with all your teammates is, I will say that will go a long way in your career.
I love it. And I especially love the fact that you three mentioned the importance of just those soft skills, right? That's just something that they can practice every single day. Just, how they communicate with their teammate, how they, utilize their critical thinking skills. So I'm so glad that you mentioned those soft skills. Kia, I'll start with you. What is a typical day like?
Yeah, so typical day on my team is I run a couple stand-ups, which are very short, like 15-minute. Everyone goes around the room or around teams with their status on the work they're doing, and it kind of helps to troubleshoot. So if someone's like, I'm blocked on this issue, someone else can be like, oh, I worked on that last week. I can help you with that, this, that, and the other. So that's usually my mornings, usually mostly meetings, trying to get the week organized for everyone. And then with my job currently, I actually work in the AWS cloud. So I do a lot of networking, a lot of cyber security things in the cloud. So I'm usually trying to learn learn as I, do my job about things in the cloud, since it's relatively a new space, especially in engineering and GE especially. I'm trying to learn on the job as well as like execute and implement. So I spend a lot of time talking to the IT folks, talking to our engineers and our simulations people, trying to get this as a well-oiled machine for what we're trying to implement in AWS. And that's usually in my day-to-day. It's usually in the cloud, or working on simulations, trying to fix bugs in our GUIs and things like that.
Fantastic. And what is a GUI? If you don't mind me
Sorry,
asking.
it's a graphical user interface. So it's kind of like Zoom. It's a interface where you can do stuff and like click things.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
What about you, Humberto? What is a typical day like for you?
Well, in my case, it's a little bit different. I interact with a lot of hardware. So I get to the office, I respond to emails, and put on my smock and go to the lab. I basically spend my entire day on the lab. As a test engineer, I have to integrate everything what someone else designed in software and hardware and how the station should work. And I put everything together and make that interact with each other. So at the very end, you end with a lot of problems that you have to fix. And that's what I enjoy the most, is you just get everything and you don't know a whole lot. You have a team that will support you and you just raise your hand and say like, hey, is this supposed to do that? And it's like, yeah, you get your manual here. So I have to read a lot and fix a lot of problems, but I enjoy that on the lab. So basically spend my entire day learning new things with different projects. So it really depends on what programs you are supporting or what kind of units you are integrating this time, what the day will be, but every day is different. So yeah.
I love that. That should make the day interesting with every day being different.
Yeah.
Jose, what about you? What is a typical day like for you?
So I, like I wanted to like emphasize that in the corporate world, email is a thing, is a big thing. I mean, communication through email is fundamental. Um, but also, having meetings and interfacing with other people through virtual meetings like we're doing right now. I mean, it's also part of the job. But me personally, I start off my day going through my emails, kind of like prioritizing my work based on all the different fires that get sent on my way. Um, once I free up from my emails, I like to put together a to-do list of things that I need to get done, and then come up with prioritization. Then I like to do a walk through our manufacturing facility. I support in a specific cell, so I go there, talk to my production technician, make sure that he doesn't need any help, and then I go and talk to the aftermarket technician, do the same thing. So going back to the point of the soft skills, you really need to be open-minded to talk to other people and get to know them. I mean, it's not just about the job, but ask them how is everything doing, and if you could do anything for them to help. I think that's key. And then I the rest of the day just go by pretty fast, coordinating with all the other things that need to take in action to be able to resolve the issues that come up during the day-to-day. So yeah.
Perfect. So my next question is, we're currently celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month. And so I felt the need to make sure that we have representation during this particular panel discussion, this career panel discussion. And so one question I have for you is, as a person of color, what obstacles, if any, did you have to face or overcome in order to kind of get into this particular career field?
You want me to go ahead and be the first
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Okay.
Jose. Yep.
That's fine. Um, Well, to be honest, on this particular field, I didn't feel that I had any obstacles. Actually, I kind of feel lucky that the way that I joined GE was really smooth, and I mean I worked for a different company for almost for 6 years. I worked for Dematic. They are also known as Rapistan back in the day, a big material handling company local here in Grand Rapids, and I didn't have any aviation background. So when I came to the interview, I was really honest and I told them, look, I don't have any aviation background, but I'm very detail oriented and I like to learn new things. And I think I can bring value to your team by bringing a different set of eyes. And I think they liked it that, and that's how I joined the company. Um, Now, the one thing that I can say that is kind of like um, just I just lost my train of thoughts. The one thing that I can say from my previous work experience that was kind of a barrier for me, it was the fact that I don't know if this is a fact, but I think we Hispanics we look a lot younger than we actually are, and most of the time I will go to meetings and I will be asked like, oh, are you an intern? And I'm like, no, I'm not an intern, I'm actually the project lead. So that was kind of like the things that I can remember. um Here at G, I haven't had that experience, and maybe because I grew some gray hair, and now I don't look that young, but back in the beginnings, I mean, that's kind of like the things that I experienced that made me feel uncomfortable.
Perfect. What about you, Kia? Same question.
Yeah, I think we hit on it a little bit before this call. Is that growing up or even going into school, I didn't get conversations like this, getting to learn from other people in other companies about career paths and things like that. I would say that was a difficulty coming into college. Florida International University, where I went to, is a very large, one of the largest Hispanic commuter schools in I guess south of the United States, but especially South Florida. So it's different because as Hispanics, we're very supportive of each other. We kind of bring each other up. So I did have one experience at an internship where it seemed very competitive versus what I experienced in school, which is everyone's helping you out, everyone's studying with you. If someone sees you studying for a class, they'll stop and be like, I took that class last semester. Oh, I have, the old quizzes or old tests you can study from. At the internship, it was a little different. There were more non-Hispanics. So it seemed more competitive. Everyone's trying to leave an impression. Everyone's trying to stand out, and it starts building on that imposter syndrome. Like, should I also be doing this? And should I also be acting this way? But at the end, you're kind of just like, I am who I am, and you end up standing out more because you end up being more who you are. So it's more of like getting that exposure and trying to find that support system where I kind of left that difficulty of like, trying to find my own space and getting to know more people in internships and different careers, not just engineers, but people outside of engineering, that kind of got me to where I am today.
I love it. Students, make sure that you are your authentic selves. So I love that. And what about you, Umberto? Same question.
So I agree with that. I think one of my hardest things was I have an accent, a very strong accent. My English wasn't that good, and it's still not. But at the same time, when I joined GE, no one minded that. It was just awesome. You have to work hard. Is you are going to be treated as another person. Everyone will be expecting the best of yourself, and that's fine. One of the things that I was like, should I be talking in Spanish when I can talk in Spanish? I was like questioning myself, and to be honest, it ended for me. It ended being great because we do have facilities in different countries, and one of them is Mexico, and I interact with those guys in Spanish all the time, and I am so happy because for me it takes like a 30 minutes meeting can solve a problem that can take like a whole week just by emails. And it's just a simple call that I enjoy. And I like that. For me, it was be who you are, as Kia said. You don't have to fear of your failures. Everyone here is happy to teach you, happy to let you learn what you want to learn. And yeah, I don't think there is a problem uh, that you can face just because your skin looks different. I think it's the best place to work, to be honest.
I love that. I love that. So my next question, and I will start with, let's start with you, Humberto.
Hmm?
What can cause stress in your particular
Hmm.
role with GE Aviation?
So that is a very interesting question. I would say in my side is not knowing how to solve a problem. You have a deadline, you have a milestone to hit, and you want to get the stuff done, and then you get a problem that no one else has seen before, and you're like, well, how do we solve this? And then you get the better of everyone. You get into a meeting, you start talking to people, and they start just giving you ideas. So you just end brainstorming, and it's always like that. We always find the problem easier than it was after we had the meeting. I was like, okay, let's try all these 5 different approaches and see which one works. And when one of them works, it's just like, great, we made it. And it's a team effort. You don't feel like, I did it myself. It was like, I learned a lot with all these people just talking. But at the beginning, it was very stressful. You just don't know what to do. It's like, college never taught me how to do this. I went through the entire life not knowing that this even existed until like a week ago. Now I got to learn it from scratch. But then you have all the people just helping you, and yeah, between all of us we just get the solution, and that's how we normally handle these things here. Team effort.
That's perfect. And I love the fact that you touched on, there's just some things that college or post-secondary institutions just can't give you. It's those real world experiences that kind of put those tools within your toolkit. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. What about you, Jose? What can cause stress in your particular role or position?
In my particular role, well, sometimes we run into product investigations where we have to put a ship hull on the product, and once that happened, the clock started ticking because you still have to deliver the product to the customer, but you can't. And not until you are able to resolve the investigation and come up with the root cause and the solution, then you can move on. And it's similar to what Humberto described. Like sometimes we run into investigations of things that we haven't seen before, or the person that used to be the expert on that product doesn't longer work at GE. So we have to put our creative hat and try to figure out, do the reverse engineering and try to figure out what was the thought back then to be able to move forward. In that same idea about college, and I always tell my friends that are questioning themselves about going to college or not, that college is an avenue for you to become a um, self proficient, or for yourself to be able to teach yourself. I don't know how to put it in a different way, but basically, if you're able to make it through college and you graduate, if once you graduate, if you feel that you can teach yourself something new, or at least get you on the right path, then I will say that you had a good experience through college. And that's how I see it.
I love that. Thank you for that advice. Kia, what about you? What can cause stress in your role?
Yeah, in my role currently, since it's a little more like network cybersecurity, I would say security in general is a stressor. It's a lot about, and I took some of this in college, it's a lot about knowing who's getting into your system, who's not. And especially when you have security issues and a deadline, I mean, they don't usually go hand in hand. But it's a lot of learning, especially something new like the cloud. It's learning on the job, and that causes a little bit of stress because now you are the expert of these issues. And it's kind of like, well, Google told me, type of thing. So it's like, you're trying to learn this product while also trying to bring in stuff you learned in college, new technologies coming in. I would say that's my main stressor, is always trying to be uh, on the most innovative security standards and things like that, because it's always changing.
Perfect. And so before we, because we have a good maybe 5 minutes, Kia, I know that you expressed to us this program that you attended in order to get into GE Aviations. And so students, I'm going to share that link within the chat. But Kia, if you would, could you talk about that GE Explore series, or that process of how to get into it, and if students are genuinely interested in an internship and things of that nature?
Yeah, definitely. So the GE Explorer program, they have different programs you can go through. So they have the healthcare, they have aviation, they have power. They also have, if you're interested in HR, or I think it's the supply chain, they have those programs there, as well as engineering. And what it is these courses were geared to give you some exposure of our businesses. So I'm going to focus on engineering. We have a course for power, a course for healthcare, and a course that I worked on for aviation systems. And the goal is to kind of give you a day in the life of that business. So for the aviation systems program, you're going to try to tie in the connections of a flight management system. So we have all the boxes there where, this sensor goes to this part of the cockpit and this sensor goes to the landing gear and things like that. And what it is, it's a 2-hour course. It's free. It's geared towards freshmen in college, but I help make the course. I don't think it's that hard. It's just some discipline, because you do get like a certificate that you can post on your LinkedIn or any professional platform that you'd like. And it's relatively 2 to 4 hours of self-driven work and learning and things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much the Engineering Explorer series. As far as internships for GE, we are currently in the recruiting season. Is usually fall and usually spring as well. And there are internships available all over the country. Specifically for GE Aviation, there will be around Florida, New Jersey, New York, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Ohio. And how that works is GE has 2 types of internships. You can do a co-op, which is 6 months, or you can do the summer, which is usually 2 to 3 months. And I think currently they're looking for summer internships. So next summer, next fall. Do not be afraid to be a freshman in college and try to apply for an internship. Like as soon as you start college, as long as you show determination, self-driven, curious, maybe are doing extracurriculars, there is a high chance that you'll get an internship just being a freshman. I've seen it before. I've interviewed people who have gotten it. So it's not impossible. You just have to make sure your resume speaks for you and you can speak for yourself. And those opportunities as well, what GE offers is when you get into the internship program, they do help support with some housing. They will also help you as far as location wise. They give you options, but not always your first option will be the one you go to. So that's why it's always clear to understand like what locations you like to be in. And they try to choose that, try to use your suggestions as a place to place you. But yeah, I think that's all about the internship.
That is fantastic. And students, I did put all of that information within the chat. If you cannot get access to it, I will definitely send that information on to your teachers. So you will have that once this career chat is over. So we do have time for one more question from me, and then I will kind of wrap it up so we can stop the live recording, and then students will kind of open it up so you can ask some questions as well. But the final recorded question will be, and we'll start with Humberto. what advice would you give to our young people who are, if they're considering this career field, what piece of advice would you give them?
So I would say, don't be scared. People will tell you, oh, you gotta be good at math, you gotta be good with numbers, or you have to know all these different topics, you have to be an expert coding and all of that. No. Uh, don't be afraid. You have to know something, you have to be honest with yourself, and you will make mistakes, and you have to be able to say like, yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And no one here gets mad at you. It's a learning path. You don't start here as an expert, but they want you to get into some sort of expertise, and the only way to get there is that you already had a beginning with something. So take your classes. The only point of going to college is to show you what it's outside and open your mind. The biggest thing is how to solve the problems is through the math that you have been doing in college. I, to be honest, don't use it a whole lot. I use more different skills than that, but I went through the entire thing. And yeah, if you're afraid of that, don't. It's okay, as long as you make it through and you are curious on what you are able to do. You will be fine. You will make it through.
That is outstanding. Thank you. What about Kia? What advice would you give our young people who are
Yeah.
interested in this career field?
Yeah, I would say definitely try to find your family in college. I would say my closest friends are the people that I took engineering classes with, even the people I didn't take classes with, but I was very active on campus, especially the engineering students. They're like the backbone. They're your support system. They're the ones that, when it gets really, really tough, and you want to cry, and I cried a lot in college, but it was worth it. They're the ones that are going to kind of pick you up and kind of remind you why you're doing this. And there are lots of opportunities out there, and it's just like the support system that really gets you through all of that. I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Fantastic. And I will have to echo that as well. I know that a lot of friends that I've met through college, my support system, we are still lifelong friends. So actually, we were all in the same major. We had the same mentors. So yes, I definitely think that when you take this journey, you don't have to walk by yourself.
Hmm.
So that's fantastic. Jose, what about you? Any final advice that you would like to give our young people?
Sure. Is based on what Kia and Umberto said. I mean, I feel that they pretty much cover like the advices that I would have given to this audience. The one thing that I could add to that is passion. Try to make sure that whatever you pursue in life, you have a passion or desire to do it, because otherwise the road is gonna be very challenging, very rocky, and it's a lifetime investment that you're making in yourself when you decide to go to college. You're gonna be spending there at least 4 years of your life, so you definitely have to think about all the consequences, the economical impact, and all that of making such a decision, and making sure that you have a strong passion for aviation or whatever industry you feel like you want to jump in is fundamental.
Perfect. So I want to take this time to just thank each and every one of you for participating in our career conversation. Again, students, don't log off yet because we're going to allow you to kind of talk to our panelists again. But I just want to thank you. And I did include within the chat, I want you to now continue to research these careers, research this field. You can use ONET, where you can find out positions within particular areas that you will want to live in. You can find out different positions, salaries, things of that nature. And you could just get a deeper dive into what was presented today. And I also sent a link to Road Trip Nation, which will also allow you to explore the aviation career field further. So I just want to thank you guys so much Thank you for allowing me to be the hostess with the mostest. One of my dream jobs, I wanted to be the next Oprah when I was younger, and that didn't work out, but now I get to host Career Chat. So I just want to thank you so much, panelists and students. And just hold on, because we're going to end this recording and just kind of allow you to get off your the screen. Well, we can see your face. So thank you for joining.